Hello, and it's time for the Raw review here on Wrestling with Regret. We are one night removed from Clash of Champions, and speaking of Clash of Champions, in my review for that show, I openly questioned where are the promo pictures for Bobby Lashley with the new U.S. Championship. Well, thanks to everyone who filled me in. The Legends open up the show this week. You've got Ric Flair, The Big Show, Christian, and Shawn Michaels all welcoming Drew McIntyre to the ring. Drew thanks them for their assistance in the ambulance match the night before. They're all united in their hatred of Randy Orton. Shawn on the mic says, they were there because they wanted to help even the odds. Bro, it was one-on-one. The odds were even. Y'all done cheated. Randy Orton shows up on the big screen and says it's not over between he and Drew until he says it is, and that you have no idea what hell is. Oh gosh, I wonder what they're alluding to there. Orton issues a very stern warning not to cross the Legend Killer, then he leaves the building. Drew changes topics and says he wants to be a fighting champion, so he issues an open challenge to anyone who has not yet wrestled for the championship to come down and accept. So we'll see who that's going to be later in the night. Pretty decent opening segment to kind of set the tone for the rest of what we'll see. Throughout the episode, we will see those four legends hanging out playing poker in the Legends Lounge. We get a rematch from the pay-per-view as Asuka defends the Raw Women's title against Zelina Vega. I'm guessing it's because after the match, Zelina cheap shot at Asuka, so we have this rematch here. But like 2 nights in a row where Zelina challenged for the championship, it feels like they copied and pasted Lana's first real angle after she went solo for a bit. Like she was in like that big program with Naomi. Like she drops right into the SmackDown Women's title picture, like a couple of consecutive title matches. It's the exact same thing here. And the match also plays out very similarly. Zelina works the arm again, has some tricks up her sleeve, but Asuka ultimately overpowers her, wins once again with the Asuka lock. Fine. But why this? After the break, though, we see Andrade in the ring while Zelina's on her way out, and Andrade on the mic just berates Zelina for losing 2 nights in a row, saying he never needed Zelina, never needed Angel Garza, who's out with an injury right now. He held that team together. He issues an open challenge of his own, and it's answered by Keith Lee. It's a pretty short matchup here. Keith is very, very strong, very overpowering for Andrade. He still has a couple big moves when it counts here, but ultimately Keith wins with the Spirit Bomb, and holy shit, it took long enough, but Keith Lee finally got a clean win over somebody for the first time in weeks. And hey, it's a new opponent for once. And what are the odds? Backstage, the Hurt Business having some fun harassing a guy in catering. Elsewhere, we see R-Truth playing chess with little Jimmy, and a ninja approaches him with a briefcase and a note from Akira Tozawa written both in English and in Japanese. And so as Truth reads it out loud, it says, "If you are reading this, I've been eaten by a shark. Our battles have been great. Even my sensei, Kung Fu Naki, would have been impressed." I like a little throwback there to Kung Fu Naki. So then the ninja opens up the briefcase, and it's a gift from Tozawa. It's apparently his black belt, and as Truth is celebrating this, Tozawa shows up. He's alive and well. He rolls up R-Truth to win the 24/7 title. Then the ninja from earlier decks him with a briefcase to win the championship. It's Drew Gulak in disguise, wins the title back. He's immediately hit by R-Truth, and so Truth wins the championship back. And there's a funny moment where Tozawa and Gulak both look at each other and go, "You," before they chase off. This I thought was pretty entertaining, but I thought it was a bit redundant when we have, I'll just get to it right now, they actually have a proper 24/7 title match in the ring later on between these 3 guys. And it's a pretty short matchup here. The story is, Tozawa and Gulak are doing a lot of double teaming on Truth, but he perseveres. He ends up kind of outsmarting the 2 of them, and he ends up hitting the AA on Gulak onto Tozawa's prone body to win and retain the championship. So, I think one or the other was fine. Why did you have to have 2 of them? They have essentially the same ending. R-Truth wins. And I thought the skit backstage was funnier than the 24/7 title match itself. Was good. Either one's fine. I thought it was a little redundant though. Backstage, Murphy's on his phone when Seth Rollins approaches him, and he's all excited and jazzed for the King's Court with the Mysterio family later tonight. He asks Murphy, "What are you doing in your wrestling gear?" But it's WWE. Everyone's always in their wrestling gear all the time, unless the plot requires it, unless somebody's hurt or something. So anyway, Rollins tells Murphy to go get into the suit that he picked out for him. And as he leaves, we see Seth actually procure Murphy's phone. He kind of keeps it with him. Ooh, that's going to play into the next scene we have here. King's Court with Jerry Lawler, and his guests are the whole dang Mysterio family. The ladies are on Lawler's couch. Watch out, ladies. Aalyah says she has no comment about Murphy, but that anyone who associates with Rollins needs to reevaluate themselves. Seth himself then echoes his way into the scene on the big screen, and he says that Aalyah may not be 100% truthful about the nature of her relationship with Murphy. He says, yeah, because he has the phone, he just magically, the screen grab gets whipped up of a DM conversation between Murphy and Aalyah. It's all very friendly chatter, it's very innocent seeming, but Ray seems to be pissed. Aalyah storms off, and the parents chase after her. Murphy backstage, he confronts Seth for what happened. Then Dominik jumps Murphy. Those two will be wrestling later in the night. Why are they insinuating that Murphy and Aalyah are in a relationship? Yes, Aalyah is 19 years old. She is, by all legal standards, a woman, an adult. But Murphy is also 32 years old. It's just weird. But I mean, on the flip side, it's not the first time we've seen or we've heard of older wrestlers texting younger women. So hey, art imitates life. Lana and Natalya in the ring. They're complaining that Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler ought to be stripped of the Women's Tag Team Championships and the belts be given to them because they are celebrities and social media influencers. I mean, naturally, how do you think I got this belt? Anyway, Adam Pearce shows up and says there will be no titles stripped tonight and that Lana and Natalya will face off with the newest Women's Tag Team in the division on Raw. It's Mandy Rose, who we already knew was traded to Raw, so we knew she was coming, wearing some Trish Stratus-inspired gear on this night, by the way, and her tag team partner, Dana Brooke, also coming from SmackDown, and that's a surprise. There was no word that she was moving shows, and with the draft a couple weeks away, why even bother moving people from show to show? You've already completely invalidated the need for a draft. It's a pretty short match here. Mandy with the hot tag in the end damn near spikes Lana onto her head with some kind of like reverse flipping back suplex thing before she hits the running knee to win the matchup here. And then later in the night, we see these two cut like a post-match promo where they say they teamed up because they've always had each other's backs and everything. They respect each other. So yay, babyface tandem. And Mandy Rose, who was immediately kind of put in this kind of position of being a solo star, is now in a tag team with Dana Brooke. Bit of an uphill battle there. But yeah, again, why have Dana Brooke move when there's already a draft? I already said it once. Aleister Black is in a dark, dark room. He tells Kevin Owens he will not forget or forgive him for what he considers being abandoned by Kevin and for Kevin allowing him, supposedly, for him to be blinded by Murphy and Seth Rollins several weeks ago. He brings up Kevin's history of betraying other people, so this is kind of more of the same thing, according to him, from Kevin Owens. We go to that match now, KO versus Aleister Black. Aleister has new theme music now, and I don't know how to feel about it because his original theme was so good. But like every other big change that we get kind of like rankled about at the beginning, eventually this will pass and it'll just become the new normal. By the way, in this match, Aleister debuts his new contact over the damaged eye to show it's much darker than the other one. There's a lot of back and forth in this match here. It's actually the most interesting match of the evening so far, up until the finish when Aleister gets a bit too rambunctious. He hits the referee on accident, so he gets disqualified, and as he's complaining about that, Kevin hits him with a stunner, and that's pretty much where it ends. So yeah, the one match that I was actually kind of interested in ends in a disqualification, so on brand, and this angle is seemingly never ending. Backstage, Mustafa Ali is there, first of all, good to see him back, but also he somehow finds himself in the Hurt Business's locker room. As he walks out of it, he runs into the Hurt Business, and they're upset. I'd be too. I mean, how do you miss that? Their sign is right on the door. Anyway, Apollo Crews and Ricochet are there to help kind of break up the fight, the pending fight. Ricochet says it's not over between these two teams. God, guys, don't drag Ali into this with you. Dominik Mysterio takes on Murphy up next. A lot of jaw-jacking in this match as it goes on. Dominik tells Murphy to stay away from his sister, and Dominik says it doesn't concern him. It's a pretty good match here. Good cruiserweight action by both guys. Dominik grabs a kendo stick from under the ring when Aalyah Mysterio shows up and begs him not to use it against Murphy. Dominik's distracted, and that allows Murphy to roll him up for the win. The pinfall itself's not that great. I think he kind of lets go before the 3 count, but it stands. That roll-up's not great, but the match is fine. Speaking of not great, though, there is some acting after the match between brother and sister. Aalyah says Murphy's not like Seth, and Dominik says, Dad was right. You are naive. Slap. Oh, the old reliable, standard, jilted or upset woman response in WWE since 1998 and still going strong, apparently. Okay, I'll say right off the bat that this angle is technically above board because, again, Aalyah is not a minor. She is an adult. That being said, for a company with a history, including a recent history of employing/protecting alleged pedophiles and groomers and abusers as recently as this summer, is it not weird to have a storyline that's essentially about grooming happening right now with a 32-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman who is being billed as naive by the rest of her family? Like, oh my God, it is so... God, to me, it's kind of beyond the pale. I just don't like this. Why couldn't Seth just move on from the Mysterio family, for God's sake? We see Dolph Ziggler backstage chatting with Adam Pearce about Drew McIntyre's open challenge. He says he's got somebody in mind to respond to the open challenge. Then we go to a 6-man tag match. You've got the Hurt Business, minus Cedric Alexander, taking on Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali. They say in the pre-match promo, the Hurt Business say that Cedric is in Hurt Business boot camp because he lost last week to Apollo Crews, so he's He's being punished for his mistakes, essentially. He won't make those mistakes again. And so we've got this match here between the 6 guys. The actually match breaks out in kind of a brawl. The lights flicker. We see the Retribution logo before the commercial break, but that's gone by the time the break's over with. It's actually the best match of the night, even though we have seen this matchup in some form or fashion for months now. In fact, if you replaced Apollo Crews with Cedric Alexander, this is the exact same match as what we had when Mustafa Ali debuted for Raw in July of this year with the same finish. Ali hits MVP with a 450 splash to win clean as a whistle. So it was a nice win here for him, I guess. It was a fun, entertaining match. But again, we've seen this match already, and I hate seeing Mustafa Ali dragged into this mess. We get another Bianca Belair vignette. Then it's time for the main event as Drew McIntyre has the open challenge for the championship. Dolph Ziggler comes out at first to introduce his actual opponent for the evening. It's Robert Roode. Roode is back for the first time pretty much since the pandemic started. He's been off TV. His last match was at Elimination Chamber, so he has been long gone from active competition for quite a while. I was wondering if he was ever going to come back, and here he is with this matchup here. These two actually have some history because Roode was the NXT champion when Drew beat him for it many moons ago. One thing I was kind of upset about, though, for Bobby Roode's entrance, we didn't get like any kind of pyro. You think an entrance like that, and you're in the Thunderdome where they give pyro to practically everybody, you think Roode would have some pyro? I was a bit miffed that it didn't happen here. But the match itself was really good. Drew tries to dispatch Dolph a couple of times, but Roode is able to capitalize going for the leg on a number of occasions. Roode hits a glorious DDT, but Drew kicks out, and then Drew's able to hit the Claymore to win and retain the championship. So I thought it was a good main event. At least the last hour ended on a strong note in terms of match quality. But we're not done yet, because the last thing we see on the night is a mystery janitor making his way to the Legends Lounge, and he takes off his hood and his mask to reveal it's Randy Orton. We thought he had left the premises at the top of the show, but he's still there. He's got a chair in his hand. He barges into the Legends Lounge, which for whatever reason does not have Jerry Lawler in there. I thought it was kind of interesting. He is a legend, but he's not in the Legends Lounge with the other 4 guys that we saw throughout the evening playing poker. So Orton puts on some night vision goggles, kills the lights, then he kills some legends. We hear this chair thwacking over and over again in the darkness, and when the lights come back up, everyone's laid out and is dead. Orton is able to escape, and he kind of points in the direction of the room as all the officials come running in there. They're too late, though. Too little, too late. So let me guess what's going to happen here. Drew is going to be super mad that all his legend buddies got destroyed by Randy Orton, and he's going to challenge him to a title match in Hell in a Cell at the pay-per-view. Am I right? My grade for this week's Raw is a D. Not a terrific way to kick off the post-Clash of Champions portion of the calendar, and it's obvious which of the 2 brands between Raw and SmackDown really carried their weight on Clash of Champions, by the way. There was a couple things I liked about the show. I'm still liking the Drew Orton storyline. That worked fine for me this week. I think there were a couple matches that were good, but yeah, too many rematches, too much weirdness with the Rollins, Murphy, Mysterio angle. Why did the 24/7 title get 2 segments that felt kind of redundant? Why are wrestlers switching shows when there's still a draft coming up in a couple of weeks? Where's the quality control in this thing? I just don't understand like how this show feels so like fly by the seat of your pants with what they're doing here. At least nobody turned face and heel and back again in the span of one show like the Hurt Business did last week. But let me know what you thought about Raw this week in the comments section below, and I'll see you again on Wednesday with my review of, quite frankly, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I say that a lot, but this time I feel like I really mean it. It's a movie called Ultimate Deathmatch, and if you've never heard of this movie, oh, trust me, after Wednesday, you will. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.